Okay, here we go. Part 5, day 6. Still the defense putting on. For some reason, they cut off when they called this guy his name and swore him in. So this is where it starts. I don't know why.
Do you know who took the... Showing you what's been marked as Defense Exhibit 111. Could you tell me what that is?
I am standing on the corner of Ruther Central High School parking lot, just about to walk towards Sheridan Road.
And what does that picture depict?
The police lining up as they started to clear out Civic Park.
You know what time that is about?
9:03. So I do believe 10:03 because my camera was off 1 hour.
And you and Detective Howard worked out that problem, correct?
Yes, we did, but it's not going to reflect on this.
Okay, because your times were off by 1 hour, correct?
Correct.
Compared to all the other evidence?
Yes.
And you know how that happened?
Yes, because just prior to that, I was on vacation in South Dakota.
Okay, and that's in a different time zone?
Yes, sir.
Showing you what's been marked as Defendant's Exhibit 112. Could you tell me what that is?
I'm moving closer towards Sheridan Road. I'm now on the corner of Ruther Central High School on the grass just before going onto the sidewalk, and the police are closing the gap on Sheridan Road.
What night are all these exhibits taken?
August 25th.
Showing you what's been marked on the front as Defense Exhibit 113. Could you tell me what that is?
I am now on Sheridan Road and hugged up against Ruther Central High School.
Does Ruther Central High School have any significance to you?
I did. That was my high school.
Okay. And this photograph would be looking down Sheridan Road in a northerly direction from your point of view?
Yes, it is.
And what does it depict in the back part of the photograph?
Like you saw in the 2 photographs earlier, the police were still in Civic Park. Now the police lined up actually on Sheridan Road.
Okay. And there are other individuals, demonstrators or rioters or whatever you want to call them, and they're more to the right.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Good. I'm glad he said rioters.
Could you hand that to the judge? Showing you what's been marked as Exhibit Defendants 114.
I am still advancing southbound on Sheridan Road, and I captured a photo when the police started using the tear gas bombs. I don't know the technical term.
Can you tell me what time that is?
That is at 9:43.
And that's 9:43 real time.
Yes, I do believe.
Okay. Showing you what has been marked. Well, let me back up a second. Through your involvement in this case, reading things, you became aware of who Joseph Rosenbaum is.
Yes.
You became aware of the significance of him.
Yes, I did.
And you went over that with Detective Howard from the Kenosha Police Department.
Yes, I did.
Showing you what's been marked as on the front, Defendants Exhibit 115. Could you tell me what that is? That
is a picture of a cone that is on fire with Rosenbaum with his hands up with his, what I assume to be a bag that you just got out of jail with at the time, in an angry stance.
Okay. And where is Mr. Rosenbaum standing?
The Ultimate gas station.
Okay. In the street?
Yes, just off of the driveway to go into Ultimate Gas.
Okay. And in 4 of the picture, there's some people trying to get some cones burning?
Correct.
And everybody's attention seems directed at somebody or something. Do you know who that is or what it was? Your Honor, I wasn't quite done.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Everybody seems to be looking in a general northerly direction, correct?
Correct.
Do you know who or what they're looking at?
There was recently a dumpster fire that was on fire. I do believe that was before this.
Okay. 116, once again.
Once again, there are some protesters, rioters, adding to the fire, adding more cones to make the fire bigger, with Rosenbaum in the back still screaming, and almost in the exact same location.
What time is that?
That is at 10:08.
Defense Exhibit 117, what does this depict?
This is a garbage can that was just recently on fire, and a gentleman, I do not know who it is, holding a loaded pistol.
And did you see him, what was he doing with the pistol? He's just walking around with a pistol out?
When people in the Ultimate Gas Station started arguing and things started heating up, he pulled out his pistol from his waistband, cocked it, and held it at his side.
When you say cocked it, describe that for the jury.
He took it from his waistband and loaded it, pulled the rack back, and it was armed then, ready to shoot.
This guy's not a gun guy, but okay.
Directing your attention to Defendants Exhibit 118, what does that show?
So there was a time where the police pushed us towards the Ultimate Gas Station, but then they retreated, and that's when the rioters and protesters advanced again back northbound on Sheridan Road, so closer back to Ruther Central High School. But in this photo, this is a photo of Rosenbaum walking to the St. James lot that was under construction at the time, and this is where, just before he tips over a port-a-potty.
Okay, and just so this record is you're not just taking pictures of Mr. Rosenbaum, correct?
I am not. I
Right.
did not know who he was.
Okay, you're just taking pictures of everything you see that interests you?
Correct.
And then later on, you turn those over to the state, the ATF, and you go through them and you start seeing what you think might be important. Is that a fair statement?
It is.
And could I have a time on Defendants 118?
10:15 p.m. August 25th.
Showing you what's been marked as Defense Exhibit 119. Could you tell me what that is?
This is Mr. Rosenbaum with another gentleman who I do not know, tipping over a porta-potty that was in the St. James lot that was under construction at the time.
Poor
And
Rosenbaum. They're just picking
Where
on
is
him.
the St. James lot, as you refer to it, in relationship to Car Source at 59th?
It is directly next to it.
Okay, so right across the street?
There is a road, and then the car source.
And that porta potty had been in an upward position?
Yes, it was.
And Mr. Rosenbaum, this masked individual, tipped it over and threw it over the fence?
They did.
And what were they trying to do to it once they got it out in the road?
It looked like they were going to use it as a barrier.
Okay. And in that picture, describe Mr. Rosenbaum's clothing.
He has, it looks like, black shorts on, a reddish T-shirt, a blue bandana wrapped around his entire face, and he's holding a plastic bag in his right hand.
This is a tip for you criminals. If you cover your face, but you carry around the same bag you got released from the hospital with all night with your face covered, it's going to be pretty easy to ID you. But, Rittenhouse, he ain't got to worry about that now.
Showing you what's been marked as Exhibit 120. Tell me what that depicts.
This is a trailer that was also in the St. James parking lot at the time. After they flipped over the porta potty, they went back for a trailer, and Mr. Rosenbaum helped pull and push this trailer out to the road that was eventually tipped on its side and lit on fire.
And when you took the picture, did you know what they were going to do with the trailer?
I did not.
Did you see any chains or anything like that on that trailer?
There's a leading.
Did you notice anything on that trailer that might later be used as a weapon?
There's a leading.
You rephrase your question. It is leading. A leading question is one that's, we talked about that already. It's leading.
Did you notice anything on that trailer?
See, if you'd have been doing that to him and paying attention, maybe you wouldn't let him get away with that shit. So he's messing you up because you're too stupid to do it to him.
I'll ask it this way. Did Mr. Rosenbaum get anything from that trailer?
Yes, he did. Once it was out in the middle of the road and set on its side, there was chains dangling from what I perceived the front end of the trailer that you would connect to a vehicle. There was multiple chains hanging from there, and he armed himself with a chain.
Okay, those are what
Whoa, good terminology. Armed himself with a chain. You go, boy.
would commonly be used to take a trailer and you hook it from the trailer to a vehicle that's going to tow it, so if it were to separate,
Yes, sir.
it's a protective chain, correct?
Yes, sir.
These aren't thin little chains?
No.
And you personally saw him take those?
Yes.
Could I have a time on that, please?
August 25th, 10:16 p.m.
That time is clear time or our time?
I can look at the report when I'm done and clear that up.
Well, why don't you clear it now? So we are clear on it.
He wants to disrupt him.
You testified earlier, all of these markings on the back, the times, are off by 1 hour, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and they're on South Dakota time?
Correct.
And that's because you had come back from vacation?
Yes, sir.
So if it were to say on the back of these, because they were printed off from a computer?
Yes.
And the number up here, the back of has a JPEG number?
Yes.
So the computer just printed out this label, correct?
No, I made that label.
Okay, but you printed out to match the time?
Yes.
Okay, so if a time is 8:11 p.m., that's really 9:11 p.m.
Correct.
Showing you what's been marked, Defense Exhibit 121. Could you tell me what that is?
This is how, like I said earlier, a trailer was pulled out of the St. James parking lot. This is the trailer itself tipped over on its side and being lit on fire next to a garbage can. And you can also see Mr. Rosenbaum armed himself with a chain, and there's still also chains hanging from the trailer.
Okay, and would be in Mr. Rosenbaum's left hand, correct?
Yes, correct.
And there's a length of chain on each side of his left hand hanging down to the ground.
Correct.
Each side of his left hand.
It goes through the hand. There's chain here
Oh.
and chain here.
Two separate chains or one chain?
I don't think the picture can tell.
Okay, gotcha.
Do you know whether it's one chain or two?
I do believe it was just one chain.
And go ahead. Defense Exhibit 122, once again.
This is also another picture of Mr. Rosenbaum with what I assume to be a bag you got out of jail in his right hand and the chain in his left hand.
Okay. And now the chain is up so you see the full length of it.
What did he say about out of jail? Did he say a bag he got out of jail? I gotta hear that again.
Of Mr. Rosenbaum with what I assume to be a bag you got out of jail in his right hand and the chain.
That's classical. Oh man, the defense is gonna come back. Would it surprise you to know that that's a hospital bag and it's been identified as a hospital bag and he was never in jail that night? Get ready.
in his left hand.
Okay. And now the chain is up, so you see the full length of it.
Correct.
It's obscured by the bag.
Correct.
Defendant's Exhibit 123. Do you recognize that?
I do. This is Mr. Rosenbaum, now fully in the upright position, holding his chain in the bag that I described, and he has a blue bandana wrapped around his face.
And that's a continuation of this series?
Yes, it's still the trailer that is lit on fire.
Are you that close, or are you using a lens? Do you know?
I am pretty close.
Okay. 121.
This is a farther away picture of the trailer that was tipped on its side. Mr. Rosenbaum is away from the fire now at this time, still holding his bag, and I cannot tell what is in his other hand. And it was brought to my knowledge that another person in here is named Joshua Zeminski.
Okay, and Mr. Zeminski is the individual in the khaki pants with the black hoodie?
Yes.
And what's he doing to the fire?
It looks like he is kicking more debris into the fire to accelerate it.
Okay. Would it be fair to say that photograph 124, you're further away when the picture is taken?
Correct.
Defendant's 125.
I was advancing again south on Sheridan Road. I am now at almost the corner where the gas station next to Car Source is, and the police just released more gas or tear bombs. I don't know the technical term.
Now, I'm going to show you some video later on, but were you anywhere near the gunshots that eventually broke out about 10 to midnight?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Could you hand that to the judge, please? Showing you what's been marked as Defense Exhibit 126. Do you know what that is?
Yes, this is one of the very last photos I took from Sheridan Road in 61st, I want to say. This photo is of the armored sheriff vehicles showing up to a 10-2 gauge that was just shot in his bicep.
And you can even, I mean, your picture's so good you can read where that is from, or?
Yes, it says sheriff's rescue vehicle. I don't see a name or a city.
But that's, I mean, this is before the area's even been cordoned off, correct?
Correct.
Okay, go ahead. Why don't you give me a time on that one?
August 25th, 10:51 p.m.
Showing you a picture of Defense Exhibit 127.
After the shots were fired and it started getting really intense, I decided to retreat and go back home for the night. I did not have a vehicle down there. I was walking back towards 22nd Avenue, and there was gunshots going on all around me, and there was a group of police outside. I don't know the technical term. I think it's like a correctional use facility here in Kenosha. They were out there with their rifles out and pistols drawn, and I had a black camera around my neck, and they pointed their lights at me, and I raised my hands, and they just told me to keep going, and I asked what's going on, and they just confirmed that there was multiple gunshots. And that was at August 25th, 11:04 p.m.
Defense 128.
This is a little further up 63rd Street, just past the last officers that I talked to.
Okay. And this one somehow got a little bit out of order. I'm going to show you Defense Exhibit 130. Can you tell me what that is?
This is a photo of a gentleman walking through some tear gas outside of our courthouse in Kenosha.
Okay, and what time was that taken?
8:11 p.m., August 25th.
Okay, so that would be for real-time 9.
Yes.
And lastly, showing you Defense Exhibit 129. Could you tell me when that photograph was taken?
This is the very last photo I took of that night, and this is of where Rhodey's camera shop used to be.
Okay, and where is Rhodey's Camera Shop in Kenosha?
I'm directly relevant to this line of questioning. This is not happening.
It's this evening. It's his opinion as to what was going on and why he covered the story.
The objection is sustained.
Does Rhodey's camera have a special significance to you?
Objection relevance.
I don't want to get sidetracked. The objection is sustained.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
These haven't. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Big ones are not.
He just looked at the DA like, that dude's a dick. That's what he's thinking. You're right.
On the back, marked Defense Exhibit 131. Do you recognize that?
I do.
Can you tell me what that is?
This is of Ruther Central High School, of a bunch of people cleaning graffiti off from the night before.
Okay, when you took that picture, did you know anybody in it?
I did not.
After knowing about this case and meeting with Detective Howard, did you know the significance of this picture?
I do.
And what is it?
Mr. Rittenhouse is in here cleaning graffiti off of Ruther Central High School.
And there's how many people in this photograph?
9, including Mr. Rittenhouse.
Okay, and could you tell me what time that photograph is taken?
August 25th, 11:43 a.m.
Okay, so that would be right before 1 o'clock.
Correct.
Real time. And this photograph,
This is of a group of protesters, I do believe, the night before, August 24th.
Objection to relevance.
I don't know what why don't you put in the question?
You were covering all 3 nights of the demonstrations and riots, correct?
Yes.
During the photograph, the large photograph, and I can't see on the back, I think it's 134, 133. Is this before or after things turned ugly?
Objection. What happened that August 24th is irrelevant to this. I'd ask if exhibit is not admitted that they not be shown to the jury once process of figuring out the correct time.
I don't see the relevance.
Now, during the evening, going over those pictures, you were asked whether or not you heard any statements from Mr. Rosenbaum. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, it is.
And do you remember what Mr. Rosenbaum said or did during that night?
Yes, I remember a few phrases.
Okay. You talk about the bag. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And you made a statement about the source of the bag?
I did.
What was the belief? Look, strike that. Why did you believe that? That he just got out of jail?
Objection calls for hearsay speculation.
I don't know. There was earlier. I read something some time ago, which gave maybe 2 months ago, there was paperwork came in here that made somewhat different from what has been stated here in testimony, as far as the origin. Is that somewhere in the evidence?
Yes.
I mean, in the available evidence, not in the evidence that's been presented.
No.
Yes. This goes to what the court said could be gone into about Mr. Rosenbaum's behavior. Those statements.
Well, there's a specific statement. Is there
That will come in.
an available witness that's going to testify to
Yes.
this? All right,
Oh,
go ahead.
wait a second. There's a
I'm sorry,
misunderstanding.
can you start over?
I think I know where the court's going. I think there's a misunderstanding we should discuss.
You know what? Let's. You don't have to go upstairs. You're welcome to do so. But in the meantime, we'll go into the Brewer's library, and please don't talk about the case. This won't be long. And at one point, I read that the remark was attributed to Mr. Rosenbaum. I just got out of jail, and I'm not afraid to go back, or words to that effect. Did I? You say you have a witness who could testify to that?
Yes.
Oh, he heard it.
Yes.
What's your objection?
My objection is discussing his belief of where this bag came from. He doesn't know. If he wants to, I mean, I would object to hearsay to the Rosenbaum statements because I don't think there's enough context, and Mr. Rosenbaum clearly isn't here to testify. So I do believe they are hearsay. I understand the court's pretrial ruling, but I thought we were getting a little mixed up here, which I wanted to clarify. I thought that when Your Honor was talking about things coming in that indicated something else, I thought we were going to go into this line of questioning that Mr. Rosenbaum was getting out of jail, which I believe is not in dispute that he's getting out of the hospital. So I just want to clarify that. I do believe, if they want to ask him what he heard, fine, but I don't believe the proper form of the question is, how did you get your belief that this bag was from jail? There's no dispute that this bag was from jail, that this bag was not from jail. And I think they repeatedly mentioned jail when it wasn't an issue in this case.
You know, I'm not in a position to know. You say it's not a dispute, and that may be that it hasn't been a dispute up to this point. If the witness that is his recollection, it's not for me to slam the door. I understand what you're saying, but if the witness recalls that, you're certainly welcome to cross-examine him on that, and you're welcome to present contrary evidence, but I don't think it's for me to censor the evidence.
I just believe the form of the question is appropriate, which is how did you form your belief that the bag was from jail?
But didn't the witness already say that?
No.
Oh, he just said it, so now he's asking him, why do you say that? Am my memory just...
I'm trying not to lead him, so I was setting the stage for the statement. I mean, you want me to...
What did you hear him say?
There's 3 different
Well,
statements.
You asked me 3 times.
Okay, the objection's overruled. Ask the jurors to come back in, please.
I did.
What was that?
That he's not afraid.
Did you hear Mr. Rosenbaum say anything about the bag?
I did.
What was that?
That he's not afraid to go back to jail.
And you told the detective that when you were interviewed back on September 11th of 2020, correct?
Correct.
Now, directing your attention to the ultimate gas station, approximately 5900 Sheridan Road, did you see an incident regarding a dumpster?
I did.
Did you see who was lighting and pushing that dumpster?
I did not.
Did you see what happened to that dumpster?
I did.
What?
The fire was put out by
Okay.
a fire extinguisher.
And when the fire in the dumpster was put out by the fire extinguisher, was there any reaction from the people who were starting the fire?
Yes, a very angry reaction.
Okay. Did you recognize or notice anybody's specific reaction at that time?
I did, Mr. Rosenbaum.
Okay. Describe that, please.
He was very agitated. He was yelling, "Fuck the police," over and over and over. "I'm not afraid to go back to jail," and "Shoot me, N-word. Shoot me, N-word."
But he was using the whole word.
Correct.
At a Black Lives Matter rally?
Correct.
And he had to be held back from attacking people. Is that a fair statement?
That is a fair statement.
He got it out. I don't care if he holds it or not. He got it out.
Overruled.
Re-ask the question. He was objecting in the middle of his answer. He said yes. Re-ask the question, you dummy.
And that's depicted in the pictures you brought, correct?
Correct.
And you told Detective Howard about that?
Correct.
And the incident regarding the chain and that he kept it and was swinging it around, you told the detective about that?
Rephrase your question.
Did the topic of the chain come up in your interview with law enforcement?
Not that I recall.
Okay. If it's contained in a report taken by the detective, you wouldn't dispute that, would you?
I wouldn't.
See, I would have said, would reviewing the report maybe refresh your recollection, and brought him the report and let him read it so he can testify to it. Instead, he just said, well, if the report said that, you wouldn't dispute it, would you? That's not as good as having him see it, read it, and change his testimony.
I wouldn't dispute it.
Now, you went south of 60th and Sheridan, correct?
Correct.
And you were taking photographs, observing?
Yes, I was.
And what direction were you walking?
Southbound.
Okay. Did anything strange or out of the ordinary happen as you were heading south?
Yes, I saw a gentleman start running, and then a crowd kind of followed behind them.
Okay. The individual who you saw running, do you know who that is?
Not at the time.
Okay. Did you know the significance of him running at the time?
I did not.
Had you heard anything before you saw this individual running at you? Not running at you, but running.
No.
Okay. And do you know who that individual is now?
I do.
And how do you know that?
Through identification through photographs in the media, I guess I could say.
Okay. And who is that person?
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Okay. Describe what you observed. What direction was Kyle running?
He was running southbound towards 63rd Street.
Okay. So he's running away from the 60th Street?
No, hang on. Running south, if that's easier.
Okay. And how far did you see him get?
I saw him enter, I don't know what car source it is, but the car source that's on the corner across from the hospital, I saw him go up in that driveway, and that was the last.
Is the pointer clean?
Yes. Oh, well, this pointer?
The laser one?
Yeah.
Did you see the map behind you?
Road?
Yes, it is.
I would probably say I saw Kyle right around here.
Okay. And he was heading in a southerly direction?
Yes.
And he goes where?
To car source.
Okay. And when he goes into the car source parking lot, could you see him anymore?
I could not know.
Did you follow him?
I was making my way up there, but not in an urgent manner.
Okay. And describe what happened next.
I heard what seemed to be like a firework, and then I could tell between them there was multiple gunshots.
And then what did you observe?
I observed Kyle walking down the same driveway that I witnessed him going up, and then pick up his pace as he continued northbound on Sheridan Road.
Okay. Was anybody taking note of Kyle as he headed in a northward direction on Sheridan?
There was people screaming at him and also following him.
Okay. Did you see anybody run up to him?
I did.
Okay. And how close were you to Kyle when this individual ran up to him?
15 feet maybe.
Okay. And that individual who ran up to him, what happened?
What I seen was an individual run up to him with a skateboard and swing it at him, letting go of the skateboard, and it hit Kyle between the neck and I would say the mid-back. And the skateboard, I don't know if Kyle kicked it because he was running when the skateboard fell, but the skateboard flew off to the side.
Okay. And did that knock Kyle to the ground?
Objection leading.
Just tell us what you saw, sir.
He stumbled. He wasn't necessarily on the ground at that point.
Okay. And then what did you observe?
The next thing I observed was, at the time I did not know who it was. Now I can say Anthony Huber. It looked like he was trying to subdue Kyle, and that's when everything happened in a matter of a second. That's when Kyle turned. It looked like he turned because Kyle was on the ground at this time, and that's when he kind of turned and he released one shot, and it hit Anthony Huber in the chest.
Okay. Did you see Anthony Huber do anything with his skateboard as he's trying to, as you said, subdue Kyle?
Yes, he also whacked him. I don't know if it was on his head or like his neck area again.
Okay. This is all happening very fast.
Yes, it did. And there was also a lot of people on my side of.
Can you bring up the exhibit, please? Were you able to see that video?
If you could play it one more time.
Can you go back even 10 seconds earlier? yourself in that video?
I do not.
Okay. Were you there?
I was.
Okay. And what did you observe when Kyle went to the ground?
I observed two gentlemen run up to Kyle. One, it looked like, was trying to hop on top of him and take his gun, and the other was hesitant of approaching him. But then Kyle Rittenhouse fired a shot, and it hit Anthony Huber.
Okay. Did you see anything after that?
He, who I now know as Gage, took a couple steps forward towards Kyle and with a gun, and Kyle shot him in the bicep.
Did you see what Gage Grosskreutz was doing with his hands?
Yes, he had a firearm in his hand.
You could see that?
Yes, I could see that.
And he was approaching Kyle with a firearm in his hand?
I don't know if he was running with it, but once he got up to Kyle, I did see the firearm.
Okay, and what did he do as he approached Kyle?
So I would have been on the back side of Gage, so I don't know.
Did the witness use the formal mode of address as we would order to do so?
Go ahead. Mr. Grosskreutz, as opposed to using his first name.
Oh, okay. Mr. How do you say his last name?
Grosskreutz?
Grosskreutz?
Good enough for
Okay.
me.
Mr. Grosskreutz back was towards me. Well, it was at an angle. I wasn't directly behind him, so I only could see one of his hands.
Okay, and describe what you saw happen.
He had his firearm out, pointing at Kyle.
Okay, and as the gun's pointing at Kyle, what happened?
Kyle shot Mr. Grosskreutz.
How close was Kyle Rittenhouse and Mr. Grosskreutz from your vantage point?
If I would have had to have guessed, under 3 feet.
Now, you were originally subpoenaed by the state, correct?
Correct.
You met with the state representatives, Mr. Binger and Mr. Krause, correct?
Correct.
And there was some tension in that room, correct?
There was.
And they weren't happy with what you were telling them. Is that a fair statement?
That's a fair statement.
I'm going to ask.
Did you see the defense in the background with his little freaking cockatiel look?
And they weren't happy with what you were telling them. Is that a fair statement?
That's a fair statement.
I'm going to ask. A, it is leading, and B, I want no reaction. Facial reaction, please.
Oh, he just got him for it. Yeah. See, he got the other attorney earlier for showing that facial reaction, and he caught him with his BS.
I'm going to ask.
They weren't happy, correct?
Correct.
And there was some tension in that room, correct?
There was.
And they weren't happy with what you were telling them. Is that a fair statement?
That's a fair statement.
I'm going to ask.
It is. It's almost intimidating the witness. He looked at him with a stern look, like, you better watch what you say. I mean, if another defendant would have done that, or another suspect in a case that I was working, I'd have had the judge, or I'd have told the attorney and had the attorney tell the judge to tell him to knock it off. And I had to do that one time. The actual guy that was being charged with something, one of this little 17-year-old girl was testifying, and he was trying to mad dog her and looking at her and kept shaking his head, and I had enough of it. And I went and told the DA, he is trying to intimidate that witness, and he's to knock it off. And so she made the judge tell him that, and then he got all pissed off and tried to mad dog me. Whatever.
Is leading, and B, I want no reaction. Facial reaction, please.
Describe your meeting with Mr. Binger and Mr. Krause in their office.
No object to relevance.
Answer it?
Please.
I don't know the date off the top of my head, but I was called down to the district attorney's office. I met with Mr. Binger and I don't remember his name.
The individual who's
In the blue. And I was called into a room, sat at a table, handed my police statement, got to read over my police statement, and then I was asked if I would like to add anything to the police statement, and I said I would not. Mr. Binger pulled out a cell phone and showed me a video and also a photo, which was actually one photo that I brought today, and asked me if I knew who a gentleman was in that photo, and I said I did not. And he asked me to, he said this is Joshua Zeminski. Mr. Binger also has a case with him, and I am subpoenaed for that case also. And he says, well, that's who that is. He put the phone down, he picked the phone back up and says, who is this? And I confusingly said, like, Joshua Zeminski, and he's like, would you like to add that to your statement? And I just felt...
Oh my God, that's freaking witness tampering! That freaking DA is dirty as shit. They ought to report his ass to the bar. That is absolutely misconduct. What a low-down piece of shit. Wow!
Mr. Binger also has a case with him, and I am subpoenaed for that case also. And he says, well, that's who that is. He put the phone down, he picked the phone back up and says, who is this? And I confusingly said, like, Joshua Zeminski, and he's like, would you like to add that to your statement? And I just felt I didn't want to change my statement.
okay. And as a result, what did you do?
I hired an attorney.
And that's Mr. Rose.
Yes.
And nothing further. Your Honor, I'd like to move the pictures into evidence.
Oh, notice Mr. Binger ain't going to question him because he don't want to perjure himself and sit here and say some shit. He's going to have somebody else come and defend him because he's such a fucking pussy. Dude, you are a low-down piece of shit. Hey, there's the guy that testified with his head. Remember him?
Is there objection?
Except for the ones that are objected to relevancy. No.
Well, the one that I guess there were two that I sustained objection. The remainder will be received.
The two big ones.
The two big ones, and then the third big one wasn't even presented. So all the big ones are rejected. Well, two of the big ones are rejected. One of the big ones was not offered. I'm sure they'll be very happy wherever it goes when they're defined as the big ones. But all of the smaller numbered photographs are received.
And I would ask that they be posted to the jury. Mr. Carl's can cross-examine first.
His preference?
That's fine.
Okay.
Mr. DeBruin, you said there was a lot of tension in the room when you met with me and Mr. Binger and Ms. Beasy.
Yes.
Is it fair to say that you were very nervous?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we did have you read over your statement, right?
Correct.
And we asked if you knew anything beyond that statement.
Correct.
We didn't ask you to change it.
Yes, you did.
Okay. So you said
Dude, I want to send this dude some freaking something, man. This is my man. You go, boy. And he's got credibility. He's got no, man, what a damaging witness to the deceit and crookedness of the freaking prosecution. Holy shit. Now, see, this should start an investigation, but guess who's got to investigate? The defense can't investigate it. The judge can't investigate it. Guess who has to investigate this? The DA. You think he's going to investigate it? Everybody ought to get on the phone and call this freaking DA's office, and I'll look up the number with this piece of shit's name and raise holy hell about the unethicalness of his freaking behavior, trying to intimidate a witness, witness tampering, trying to get evidence in that isn't, trying to help us out. You know what? I'll bet money he is removed from the other case. Somebody from that area follow up, and I bet Binger is removed from the other case of that guy. That is outrageous, and whoever the defense attorney is for that other case, they ought to be calling this guy and the DA to testify in that case. Outrageous behavior. Wow. Let me get back to my man.
Yeah, absolutely.
and we did have you read over your statement, right?
Correct.
And we asked if you knew anything beyond that statement.
Correct.
We didn't ask you to change it.
Yes, you did.
So
I'm sorry. I want to let it play, but that is freaking classical. Oh my God. You freaking pieces of shit. And you know what? They're going to try to find ways to see if they can charge this guy with perjury. They're going to go through his testimony with a fine-tooth comb. And if there's one thing out of whack that he said later or whatever, they're going to charge him with perjury to intimidate him and to get their way. Out freaking rageous.
you said we asked to change it to identify Mr. Zeminski?
Yes. Or if I wanted to change any details to if I remember anything else throughout that night, and to add Joshua Zeminski.
Now, we met for the case against Kyle Rittenhouse, correct?
Correct.
Is it fair to say that most of the discussion involved Mr. Zeminski?
I would say probably half of it.
Because Attorney Binger is prosecuting Mr. Zeminski for arson.
Apparently.
And you took a number of pictures of that perhaps include Mr. Zeminski, correct?
Correct.
So Mr. Binger was verifying if you knew that was Mr. Zeminski and asked you if you saw him in some pictures.
Apparently, and at the time, again, I did not know who Joshua Zeminski was.
Now,
Just that I was subpoenaed to be a witness in his trial.
so why would, so your testimony is that the state, in the case against Kyle Rittenhouse, wanted you to present incriminating evidence against Mr. Zeminski?
I don't know why he asked me that question. I found it odd, too.
Is it possible you didn't?
Dude, I love this guy. I found it odd too. Dude, you're killing me. Where is it? If this guy's got a website, I'm sending him a donation. Somebody put in the comments how I can send this guy some freaking money for his testimony, because he is a straight up dude. I like him.
Your testimony is that the state, in the case against Kyle Rittenhouse, wanted you to present incriminating evidence against Mr. Zeminski?
I don't know why he asked me that question. I found it odd, too.
Is it possible you didn't understand the question?
No, he was pretty clear.
And then you said you went and you hired an attorney?
I did.
How did the meeting end?
What do you mean, how the meeting ended?
How did our meeting end?
Our meeting or with my attorney?
No, I can't ask about your attorney. I mean our meeting in my office with Mr. Binger and Ms. Beasy.
It ended with Mr. Binger saying that he would be in touch with me in regards to the Zeminski case.
Because we indicated that we would subpoena you for that case.
You did subpoena me for that case.
And that was the absolute end of the meeting?
That I recall.
Do you remember that afterwards you and I spoke about your photography and I complimented your photography? We talked about your photography?
That was in the beginning.
And at the end?
Mostly in the beginning because we were waiting for Mr. Binger to get in the room because, I don't know, Heather maybe her name was in the room and we were just waiting for Mr. Binger to get in the room. That's when you asked me that, to be correct.
So we never asked you to put anything in about or change anything about Kyle Rittenhouse?
Not specifically, no.
Because Kyle Rittenhouse, that name doesn't even appear in your statement, does it?
I don't think so. Not to my knowledge.
And so the discussion about changing statements, did we actually ask you to retype your statement out?
No.
So what do you mean we asked you to change it?
I'm assuming, there wasn't details, but I'm assuming either add Kyle's name or because I was also showing a video off of a cell phone by Mr. Binger. I don't know what that video or whose video that was, but it was of the shooting. And
Why don't we find out whose video it is? Why don't we get why isn't the defense saying, Your Honor, I'd like to probe what video he showed, and we don't have to do it in front of the jury, but I'd like to know what the video was, if my client's in it.
that's when I was asked if I wanted to add anything else to that statement, and I said no.
And you took that literally, like actually writing out your statement?
Yeah.
You did not take that to mean, is there anything your statement doesn't cover or that we should know?
No.
You said literally we would retype the statement that you took November 11th.
Well, he didn't say retype it, but he said, do I want to add anything to that? And to how I interpret that, that's pretty much altering my statement, and I felt uneasy about that.
You added things to your statement on the stand today.
That was because I recall in videos of certain things happening. That when the day I gave my statement, when I walked to the police station, when I walked into that police station, there wasn't even a glass door on that.
So how is, I'm sorry, how is that different than what Attorney Binger asked? Did you want to add anything? How is that any different besides than asking if you remember other things?
When I had a meeting with Mr. Richards the following night, I want to say, the following day, around like maybe 3:30 at his office. Mm-hmm. And I was also showing videos there. And prior to things happening in those videos, I was saying things that actually were just about to happen. And he asked me, do you mind if I bring this up? And I said, absolutely. But I did not change. I did not alter that statement. I did not write a new statement out.
So no one asked you to write a new statement?
No, not to write a new statement, just add
so
or alter.
We both asked the same thing, if you knew more beyond what your statement said.
But the way Mr. Binger wanted it, how he portrayed it to me was to add on to my statement physically. Mr. Richards just took notes.
Did someone ask you to type out a new statement?
I'm telling you how I perceived it.
You have a bias in this case, don't you? You don't want Mr. Rittenhouse to be found guilty or not guilty?
Oh, wait a minute. You don't want him to be found guilty or not guilty?
You don't have an interest or a bias in which way this trial comes out?
I don't know. I'm a photographer, photojournalist. That's what I do. I take photos.
Did you go and give an interview to a gossip site that is biased against the district attorney?
I don't know what his site represents.
So you actually went to the media, or someone who claims to be media, to talk about this meeting with the prosecutors?
First of all, he came to me. I didn't go to him. Let's make that clear.
And you understand that he has a bias in this case?
I don't know. I don't know him personally.
Objection. Stop talking.
I'm sorry.
What's the objection?
Well, let's do this. Let's do this. We need to take one more break before the day's done. Anyway, so why don't we take just a 10-minute break? And please don't talk about the case during the break.
Dude, I love this guy. Rittenhouse, stop freaking smiling. We can be happy. You can't.
That would make my day about somebody else's bias.
I asked if he knew about his bias.
Well, you know, what does that mean? Do you know about the bias?
I can bring it. I can ask it a different way.
That would be good. That would make my day. All right. So let's take a break. About 10 minutes.
You ever read this?
You can walk around if you like, but we need you back in about 10 minutes. All right. Let's proceed.
Thank you. You indicated that this blogger approached you,
Yes.
and do you know how he found out about your feelings?
He.
I don't think
I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question?
Do you know how he found out that you had something to say?
What do you mean something to say?
Well, you said he approached you. Do you know how he knew to approach you?
He was at my attorney's office.
Did you waive attorney-client privilege so that your attorney could talk to him about it?
He wasn't in the meetings with my attorney, with me present or anything.
So you walked out of your attorney's office and he was there?
He was at my attorney's office, just not in conversations in regards to like why I was there.
And you know this blogger and your attorney have a very close business relationship?
I do not.
Do you know anything about this blogger?
I do not.
So why did you talk to him?
He was with the media.
You talked to all media that ever contacted you?
No.
And did you know this blogger has posted
I don't know.
let me finish the question.
Sorry.
Did you know that this blogger has posted many articles indicating that he wants Kyle Rittenhouse to be found not guilty?
I do not.
Did you know this blogger has posted many articles attacking, mostly falsely, my office and this attorney's office?
I do not know this.
Did you do any research about who this person was before you spoke to him?
No.
He's already asked
I
and
don't think
answered
the-
that.
It's relevant.
That was my last question. On that topic.
Perfect.
So, no, on that topic. No, it's on that topic. Thank you. So,
This isn't about you defending your lying, crooked office, Mr. DA. How about let's get back to this freaking trial and quit wasting the jury's time?
would you describe our meeting in the DA's office as cordial and uneventful?
It was, besides the uneasy feeling I had, it was pretty much like a normal meeting.
So, when we ask you if there's anything to add or beyond your statement, that made you feel uneasy.
Yes.
But when Attorney Richards asked you the next day, let me back it up. So we asked you felt uneasy, and you didn't say really anything in addition to your statement. Fair to say?
Correct, because I didn't want to change it.
So then when Attorney Richards asked you the next day if you have anything to add to your statement, you tell him all sorts of things.
He didn't present it to adding my statement. He said, "Can I take notes?" He didn't use the word statement like I'm changing my statement.
So that the verbiage is what made you uncomfortable.
Correct.
Did he have you read your statement before you talked to him?
I just read it the night before.
Okay, so the fact that you physically had your statement with us is what made you uneasy.
Correct.
Okay. So now we're talking about your statement. Let's show you what is marked as Exhibit 134. Do you recognize this?
Yes.
Oh my God, he just threw that. Your Honor, I would have objected. Your Honor, advise the district attorney to hand the witness something respectful and not throw it at him like a dog. I would have trashed him right there. Did you see the way he threw that disrespectfully?
134. Do you recognize this?
Yes.
Oh my God.
That is the police statement I gave on 9/11/2020.
And this is the one that we asked you to read in my office.
Correct.
And you make no mention at all of Mr. Rosenbaum having to be held back.
Because this was taken on 9/11, I was a year prior to this when I walked into a building that I really didn't even want to be in. But the ATF, however you guys work on your cases, it was brought to you guys, not me voluntarily. The ATF brought it to you and got you guys involved.
By you guys, you mean the detective that's investigating this case?
Yes. I had a homicide detective over at my house.
So you gave the statement on September 11th, 2020.
Correct.
Is it fair to say that your memory of the events was better on September 11th, 2020?
Pretty much the same. You're not going to forget this situation ever.
Well, then why did you forget to put things in your report?
First of all, it was, like I said, when I first walked into the police station, I walked through a police station that didn't even have a door. Didn't have no glass attached. There was glass on the ground, completely all shattered on the ground. I have photos, don't worry. Shattered all over the ground. It was you guys had me waiting constantly. I had to wait to give my statement because they couldn't get a hold of Detective Howard. So when he came in, it was a really, I don't want to say rushed, but it wasn't take your time type of deal.
You were there your statement was an hour and a half long.
Don't know what,
Right?
I don't know how long it was.
And they were in the room within 5 minutes of you walking in the
I don't
in the
believe
interrogation
that.
room? So your explanation for why your statement leaves things out is because you walked through a door without a window?
No, I was trying to explain how nervous and
Your Honor, he's badgering the witness. This is irrelevant to whether or not, can we get to the facts? Come on, defense attorney.
anxious I was because, I mean, all around that area, local businesses are being destroyed, everything. And to be walking into a police department in the middle of this time isn't good. I was threatened numerous times throughout the week of me photographing and capturing all these photos. I was threatened numerous times, so I was uneasy with people still standing outside the police department, walking in, knowing I have to walk out with these people out here.
So you gave the statement 17 days after the shooting. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
And you're still saying that property was being destroyed and there were protests?
There was
7
no-
days later? Let me finish my question, please. 17 days later?
Nothing to the extent of the week of the shooting, nothing to that extent, but there was no window in the police station.
So the fact there was no window made it so you could not give an accurate statement?
I'm not saying that. I
You just
said
did.
it gave me anxiety.
Your Honor, he's misstating the evidence, and he's badgering him, and he's not letting him answer. Come on, defense.
Yeah, so make sure you say what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Now the judge is going to say, I'll do the discipline in here, not you. I like this guy. I don't care. I like him.
So the fact there was no window made it so you could not give an accurate statement?
I'm not saying that. I
You just
said
did.
it gave me anxiety. Yeah, so make sure you say what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. So
He did not say he didn't make an accurate statement. That was your words.
Not
you
mine.
said things were left out of your statement.
Not on intentionally. I mean, those are little details. That's a traumatic situation that someone has to go through. I just witnessed someone dying, and another person getting their arm almost blowing off.
17 days prior.
Doesn't matter how long it is. I still suffer from that traumatic still to this day.
Do you have? You said you've been nervous. You said you were anxious. Does that really affect your perception of events?
Man, he is just beating it. He's gonna, man, you guys will trash anybody. Remember, everybody's the enemy unless you're helping the state. What a crooked DA's office, man. Wow.
It might, no, it's not going to change. But like right now, I'm anxious. Like I have anxiety right now.
Did you have anxiety when you spoke to us in our office?
Absolutely.
Now, you in your statement, there's no mention of Mr. Rosenbaum having to be held back.
Correct.
There's no mention of him saying anything about shoot me N-words.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Sure, sorry. There's nothing in there about saying shoot me N-words.
Correct.
And is that because you saw it on a video later?
When I was showing a video at Mr. Richards' office, as the video was playing, I was telling things that was happening before the video was actually playing. Like, I don't know, before the details that I said coming out my mouth happened on the video.
The video was refreshing my recollection of events. As I saw more, I remembered more. Come on, defense. I mean, the defense could object, and I mean, he can say that. He goes, Your Honor, he's trying to describe something that it refreshes recollection, and the DA is badgering him and won't let him say it. Watching the video is refreshing. And then the defense go, he didn't say that. And then let them argue, but the jury hears it. Come on, dude, help him out.
So did you observe him say that, or did you see it on video?
I heard him say it. And what's your question?
On August 25th, as you were there that night, did you see Mr. Rosenbaum say that?
Yes.
Or is that based on video
No.
after?
No, I saw him. Oh, I heard him say that.
But it's not in your statement.
Correct.
There's nothing in your statement about seeing Mr. Rittenhouse walk down to Car Source.
Like little details like that. I'm not an investigator, so I don't know to give those type of details. I'm sorry.
So this homicide suspect and his actions seconds before the alleged homicide, that's a little detail?
Also, remember going back, I didn't.
Your Honor, he's mischaracterizing what he said. He's badgering a witness. He's misrepresenting. He's misrepeating. Tell him to ask a question and stop badgering him. Come on, defense attorney. I mean, even if the judge doesn't say he's badgering, you object, you get it on a record, and you stop the DA from his flow of attacking this guy. Freaking bullies.
This whole situation got blown out of the water when the ATF got involved. And so many people.
So we've heard a lot of FBI agents. The ATF's involved too. Wow, the Fed's got nothing else better to do than go after poor Kyle. He's a big threat. Oh, that's right. The Biden administration. Let's go, Brandon. The big threat for America is not open borders and 1 million people coming over. It's white guys. Yeah, the Boogaloo guys. Yeah, that's it.
Showing up at my house, showing up at my job. The FBI showed up at my job and asking me questions. So when this statement was...
This is why you don't talk to anybody. You take the fifth and you say, I have nothing to say. See, this guy, if this guy was watching my channel, he would know that. You don't talk to the government ever. It never helps you. It's never for your benefit. It's always bad, and they're always going to twist it and use it against you. Exactly what they're doing to this guy. This ought to be the poster guy for freaking not talking to the government.
Was given, I gave it to the best recollection of my memory that I could, with everything else that was going on around me
That was a good statement. That's a good answer.
in my life at that time regarding this case.
You'd agree watching a homicide suspect walk up to the scene of the first homicide is not a little detail?
I was stressed out at the time, I'm sorry.
You testified with Mr. Richards that you saw Mr. Grosskreutz point his gun at Mr. Rittenhouse?
Yes.
That's nowhere in your statement.
Correct.
So that wasn't important to include on September 11th?
Like I said, I'm not a detective.
But you can tell you gave us things about tipping over a port-a-potty. Is that more important than someone pointing a gun at a homicide suspect?
No, but it's easier to remember when I capture the photo, and I can reference that photo to remember that instance.
So are these your memories, or are these what you've seen on photos and you've changed your memory or altered your memory because of photos?
It's probably a little of both, but nothing's altered.
So you had a camera on you that night?
That's how I would have got those photos.
And did that...
Dude! I love this guy. Dude, you're killing me. It is pissing him off. He is pissed. He's got the benefit of the court, the position of power. He gets to answer. He gets to shut you down. He gets to harass you and say, let me finish my question. He gets to trip you up. He's got all the power, but it's still pissing him off.
Your memory or altered your memory because of the photos.
Probably a little of both, but nothing's altered.
So you had a camera on you that night?
That's how I would have got those photos.
And did that take photos and video?
It did.
So
It did.
you watched this scene unfold in front of you with people chasing Mr. Rittenhouse?
I did.
Did you turn your camera on? He said I did.
Oh, I did. I'm sorry.
Did you turn your camera on?
To take photos?
To take anything?
No. I didn't. If there's a video of, I don't know whose video. Excuse
Well,
me.
I'm talking about your video. Did you turn your camera on?
No.
No.
No. It's a very chaotic situation,
Well, you're there to document things, aren't you?
and I'm not a professional.
So, in your statement, it says nothing about Gage pointing the gun, correct?
Correct.
In fact, you said,
Asked and answered. Don't let him keep repeating shit, defense attorney. You freaking assholes are sitting over there letting this kid get beat up. He's already answered that at least 3 times.
Anthony walked maybe 2-3 steps and collapsed. That's when I stepped back. I was at the corner house on the southwest corner of Sheridan 61st Street at this time.
Objection. Is there a question in this, Your Honor? Don't let this guy stand up here and be tough guy.
That's what you said?
Correct.
I hugged the north wall of the house for cover. Is that correct?
Correct.
But somehow from hugging the north wall of the house, you saw what happened with Mr. Grosskreutz?
That was, by the time I got to the house, everything was done. That's how fast that happened. I didn't even get out of the street. I was still in the street when he was shot. When Grosskreutz was shot. I'm sorry.
All you say about the shooting is, I saw Gage get shot in the arm and it was a mist of blood. That's all you say about the interaction between Mr. Grosskreutz and Mr. Rittenhouse.
Correct.
You know what? The defense attorney could object again and say, Your Honor, the prosecution keeps asking my client why he didn't say something. He was being interviewed by professional investigators. If it was so important, why didn't they ask it? Can you show me where they ask it and this witness failed to answer it? I mean, it's just freaking bullshit you're letting a witness get hung out like this.
So that was important to say, but nothing else regarding that incident.
Like I said, I'm not a detective. I don't know what you guys look for. I'm sorry that I left that out. This is the first time I ever had to do anything like this.
You indicated you saw someone with a loaded pistol. How'd you know it was loaded?
I watched him rack the gun back.
Did you know if he had ammunition in it?
I know how firearms work. The slide would have stayed back if there was no ammunition in it.
Did you watch him load the gun?
Oh, good for him. If the magazine was empty, it would have stayed back. But if it didn't have a magazine, it would have went forward.
Pistol? How'd you know it was loaded?
I watched him rack the gun back.
Did you know if he had ammunition in it?
I know how firearms work. The slide would have stayed back if there was no ammunition in it.
Did you watch him load the gun?
No.
See, he needs to slow down. He's upset, and this DA has got him so jacked up, and he's spitting out answers in anger, and he's going to catch him in a minute. Never start spitting out answers fast. Sometimes we tell people count 1, 2, 3 before you answer, because it makes you stop and think, and you don't get into what this guy's doing.
Now, when you are given a statement by a detective, they tell you to put everything in it that's important, right?
Through my eyes.
You signed a statement that says, this statement is being typed for me by Detective Martin Howard of the Kenosha Police Department and is a true and accurate account of my statement to him. You signed that on the top of each page? Or at the top of the first page?
I didn't sign nothing at the top of the page. It's at the bottom of the page.
All right, so let's go there. So you signed on the bottom, I have made the above statement without any threats or promises. It is my desire to state the true facts as to this incident. I have read the above statement and find that it is true and correct.
Correct.
And you signed that.
Yes, sir.
And the statement on top would also indicate that it should be the truth.
What statement on top? I don't understand what you're trying to tell me.
On the top of your statement, it says, this statement is being typed for me by Detective Martin Howard.
Oh, on the very first page, yes.
If I could finish my question, please. She has to type everything down, so only one.
Your Honor, he's badgering a witness there. Witness doesn't stand. He's asking inappropriate questions, and he's not being clear. And the witness is trying to cooperate, and the DA is berating him. This fucking defense team is pissing me off.
One person can talk at a time. Thank you.
I don't understand what you're trying to tell me.
On the top of your statement, it says, this statement is being typed for me by Detective Martin Howard.
Oh, on the very first page, yes.
If I could finish my question, please. She has to type everything down, so only one person can talk at a time. Thank you. This statement is being typed for me by Detective Martin Howard of the Kenosha Police Department and is a true and accurate account of my statement to him.
Correct.
Is there anything else you left out of the statement?
Not to my knowledge.
Do you consider my question to be asking you to change your statement?
Not right now.
You indicated
He should have said, not right now because the jury's here. When you had me in a room by myself, he was shoving a camera in my face, watching videos, trying to get me to alter my statement. He would have slammed them. If he slammed them a couple times, they would stop this interview. The only reason this is going on is because the defense isn't objecting and he's making points on this guy. If this guy pushes back and slams them, they will stop this interview.
that Rosenbaum took a chain and kept it for a while, swinging it around.
Correct.
So you saw Mr. Rosenbaum drop or leave the chain behind.
I don't know when Mr. Rosenbaum separated with that chain.
But you said kept it for a while.
Correct.
So it was gone.
That was at some point, yes.
Okay. Now, in our meeting, let me ask it this way. Did you see Kyle Rittenhouse before the car source lot on that night?
Yes.
And you described him to us as being notable because he was always out alone on his own.
Mr. Rosenbaum?
Mr. Rittenhouse.
Yes.
Okay, so you saw him out on his own doing whatever he was doing by himself.
The couple times that I seen him.
And when you saw Mr. Rosenbaum, you never saw him actually lay hands on anyone?
No.
Never saw him hit anyone?
No.
Never saw him kick anyone?
No.
Never saw him strike anyone with a chain or any other weapon?
No, sir.
Never saw him with a gun?
No.
Now, you indicated in your statement that as Mr. Rittenhouse was being chased back northbound Sheridan Road, you heard someone say, "You just shot someone, stop." Is that true?
Yes, it is.
And you said,
He's trying to get him in a perjury count right now, in case you didn't know. He's going through each line of his statement and see if he will change, and they will charge him with perjury. Either because his statement was incorrect or because he lied on a stand. They are setting his ass up. That's why if you don't give a statement and you don't talk to the government, they don't have anything to use against you when they force you to get on a stand. Because they're going to force you. This guy's a subpoena. He's not here of his own free will. He's subpoenaed. And he gave interviews to the ATF and the FBI and them. Don't talk to the freaking government, people.
that Anthony and Gage, meaning Mr. Huber and Mr. Grosskreutz, were yelling at Kyle to stop.
Yes.
Kyle did not stop and kept going.
Correct.
Now, in my office, you indicated that you were fearful of an active shooter.
I don't recall that.
You don't remember saying that you thought they were trying to stop an active shooter?
No.
Do you think they were trying to stop an active shooter?
They were trying to stop the person that was running.
Did you feel...
At that time, like I said, I don't know. I didn't know what happened at that corner.
So you, as a amateur journalist, you were not drawn to go to that location, to the 63rd Street car source.
Is that the one on the corner?
They're all kind of on a corner, but the
Across
one on
from the
63rd, the one on 63rd and Sheridan.
Yes, I was going towards that.
Okay, but you didn't get there in time to see any of the shooting.
No.
Now, you indicated that Mr. Rosenbaum said, "I just got out of jail and I'm not afraid to go back," or something to that level.
Yes, sir.
Do you know if he got out of jail or not?
At the time, I did not know.
And you said you saw him have a small plastic water bottle that night?
I saw a plastic baggie.
Did you? And you told...
Misstates what's in evidence. He never said he had a water bottle. Your Honor, he's misstating evidence, trying to bait and confuse the witness. If the defense kept saying that, he would shut the fuck up and stop doing it. He keeps doing it because he's getting away with it.
told us in our meeting that you saw a plastic bottle in the baggie?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Rosenbaum, when he made that comment, you didn't see Kyle Rittenhouse around.
No.
When he was at the 59th Street Ultimart, and he was saying what's not in your statement, but you have said, "Shoot me, N-word," ahead of your strain, you didn't see Kyle Rittenhouse around.
No, I did not. There was many people.
Now, make no mistake, people. This guy and all the people at DA tomorrow will be giving him flowers, putting notes on his door. Good job. Way to give it to him. You showed. He's going to be a little hero in the DA's office tomorrow because he took advantage of a young kid on a stand and made him look like shit. Because they beat up a woman who went out there to help and made her look like shit. Because they're going after a kid and trying to ruin his life because they want to win. What a freaking sleazy DA's office. But you know what? What the real shocker is? They ain't doing much different than most DA's office.
You said, I didn't quite hear when Attorney Richards was saying, did you say you had a picture of Mr. Rosenbaum by a cone on fire?
Yes.
Like a traffic cone?
Well, he's in the background just outside the driveway of the gas station.
So I'm trying to determine what it is. Is it a traffic cone or what is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Construction
Now-
cone, I guess.
Construction
you
cone?
could say. Yeah.
Now, you didn't see Kyle Rittenhouse anywhere around there?
Not at that time, no.
Right, I mean, at that time, you did not see Kyle Rittenhouse around there. And that didn't threaten anyone's safety, lighting a traffic cone on fire.
No.
It may not hurt anybody's safety. It could start another fire. It was causing pollution. It was causing people to cough. It was destroying property that wasn't theirs. But was it a danger to somebody? No. And I guess you're okay with that, right? Man, I'm telling you, man, when you give these DAs the shit that they give you back, they stop this bullshit.
You saw, or you allege you saw Mr. Rosenbaum tip or help tip over a porta-potty?
I did.
It's not alleged. There's a photograph of it. It's ridiculous.
You can phrase this question as he sees fit.
Now, you indicated in your statement that it smelled terrible.
It did.
So that was a detail you felt important to include in your statement? Now, when Mr. Rosenbaum tipped over the porta-potty, Mr. Rittenhouse was not around.
Not that I seen.
There was no one in the porta-potty that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of.
So that didn't actually endanger anyone's safety?
No.
Well, I don't know if there was anybody in the porta potty.
You indicated that there was a trailer that was lit on fire?
Yes.
Mr. Rittenhouse wasn't around to see that?
Not that I.
He doesn't know what Mr. Rittenhouse
Oh.
saw or didn't see.
I'll rephrase. You did not see Mr. Rittenhouse around then?
No.
And the trailer was unoccupied?
What do you mean unoccupied?
I mean, there was no one in it.
There was what?
There was nobody in it.
There could be nobody in it. Yeah, it's a flatbed.
So that didn't endanger anyone's safety.
No, unless it tipped over.
Now, you said you saw Mr. Rosenbaum arm himself with a chain. He picked up a chain off the ground or off the trailer?
Off the trailer.
Armed himself is your phraseology?
Yes.
And did you see Kyle Rittenhouse around when he did that?
Not that I am aware of.
And you never saw him swing it at anyone or threaten anyone with that?
I saw him just swinging it, but it was not directed towards anybody or like any human beings or anything like that.
Do you consider handguns or chains more dangerous?
You know, where are we going there, Mr.
I'm not an
Krause?
expert.
Mr. Krause.
This witness has spoken a great deal about what he saw Mr. Rosenbaum do, and I'm establishing that he did not see Mr. Rittenhouse observe any of it.
That isn't what you asked him. You asked him which he considers more dangerous, chains or guns.
I'll withdraw that.
Oh, so the judge... See, finally the judge is doing what the defense attorney ought to be doing. The judge is finally getting a knot in his ass and saying, knock it off. I mean, this is just brutal. This is bullshit what they're doing to this kid. He got testified. He's there to tell the truth, and you don't want the truth, and you're pissed off because the truth doesn't fit your narrative. You freaking pieces of shit, government flunky mother. I hate freaking bullies. I hated it when I was a cop. I didn't like picking on people that couldn't fight back. It's bullshit. And you freaking losers like at the DA's office love that shit. Makes you feel good. Go home and tell your wife how you beat somebody up on a stand because you're a tough guy.
Sir, you worked for a grocery chain?
Yes, I did, yes.
You did?
Yes.
What happened the last couple of weeks?
What?
You did work for a grocery chain?
A while ago, yes.
How do you make your living now?
I work for a national bottling company.
Okay. So your photography is a hobby, or you told me you're hoping to become a professional.
Eventually, yes.
Now, you brought your own exhibits in here today,
I did.
and the defense didn't ask you to do that. You did that on your own.
I did.
And you know that this case has gotten a great deal of publicity.
Yes.
And you know there are media outlets here covering the trial.
Yeah, apparently there's cameras.
And
Objection, relevance. What does that have to do with his statement or what he knows? Nothing. This defense attorneys are fucking pissing me off.
you actually have offered your photographs for sale on that blogger's site who spoke to you.
He put those up.
So are these photographs for sale?
If somebody would want them, but I'm not advertising them.
Did you bring your own exhibits because you're trying to enrich yourself with your photography?
Not at all.
Nothing further.
So redirect.
Yes. Sir, before the 25th of August 2020, did Kyle Rittenhouse have any significance to you?
Before the 25th?
Yes.
No.
Okay, the night of the 25th before the shooting, did you know who Kyle Rittenhouse was?
I did not. I didn't even know after taking that graffiti picture
Okay.
earlier in the day.
Were you looking for Kyle Rittenhouse to know where Kyle Rittenhouse was in relationship to what Mr. Rosenbaum was doing?
No, I did not know any of those individuals at that time.
And when you met with me in my office, there was a private investigator present, correct?
Correct.
And I asked you what you remembered and took notes, correct?
Correct.
And then I showed you video, correct?
Action leading.
Correct.
Sustained.
I was there, and who else?
The private investigator and then myself.
Okay. And what did we do first?
I don't recall.
You come in and did I show you videos right away?
Oh, no, no. You introduced yourself. You introduced the private investigator. I don't remember his name. And then you asked, like, if I remembered my police statement, and I said I did because it was just refreshed to me by the district attorney's office. And then you asked when did I talk to the district attorney's office, and I said just the day prior, and then we started going into my police statement.
And after I was done going into your police statement with you, then what did I do?
Showed me some videos.
Okay. And in the videos I showed you, were you able to identify yourself?
Yes. I don't know who recorded the videos, but I can identify myself in a video.
And not just any video, it's right before the shooting. Is that a fair statement?
Correct.
Oral.
I don't need to show the video. No, that's all I need. Thank you. Yeah.
I don't have any further questions.
Mr. Nelson.
Good, they got him off. Good grief. What a bloodbath.
Get a video and say what you saw there.
Brief. Brief. Quartered.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, thank you.
Poor guy. Got him out of there. That was freaking brutal, man. The DA's office, like freaking sharks when they smell blood in the water. What a couple of big bullies. Man, they're going to go home and freaking be proud, telling their wives how wonderful they were. We're calling another witness?
Stand please, raise your right hand. Do you swear sort of testimony about to give in this matter be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may be seated.
I'm pretty sure this guy's going to be short because there's not a lot left in this video. So I'm going to go ahead and let it run on out.
Sir, would you please state your name, spelling your last name for the record?
Lucas Zanin, Z-A-N-I-N,
Mr. Zanin, where do you currently reside? City?
Kenosha.
Were you present in the city of Kenosha on August 25th of 2020?
I was.
Directing your attention to approximately 10 before midnight on the 25th, where were you?
I was parked in my car on 63rd Street in the corner of Sheridan Road, across the street from the car lot.
Okay. And can you look behind you? See that map?
Yes.
Can you, if road, and this is right here?
It's a great guy.
Okay. Parked, driving, what were you doing?
I was parked.
Okay. And were you driving, passenger, what?
I was a driver.
Okay. And was there somebody with you?
Yes, my stepdaughter.
Okay. And was she filming anything?
Yes, so she was leaning out the window of the passenger side, and she was videotaping, and I was watching the events.
Were you watching what she was videotaping?
Yeah, I was watching what was going on in the parking lot at the time.
Okay. And what was exciting or interesting about Car Source at that time?
Well, the reason I was passing south on Sheridan, and I took a right on 63rd, and then I turned around and parked because as I was going south, I saw fire coming out of the passenger seat of one of the cars. And so I turned around and I decided to park, and I saw people smashing the cars with pipes and bats, standing on the hood, kicking the windows in.
Okay. You can stop a second, Mr. Zanin. I'm going to show you a video and ask you if you recognize, okay? Exhibit 135, please.
Over here.
You hear that banging?
Yeah,
What is that?
that's people kicking and hitting cars with pipes and bats.
Okay, keep going, please.
So I'm assuming this is the video that his daughter took, and he's going to authenticate it, maybe because the daughter was a juvenile. And that's how they're going to get this video in, because prosecution probably doesn't want it in to show the violence.
The hospital.
Black Lives Matter. For some reason, it's like wherever there's a riot, Black Lives Matter shows up. It's amazing how that happens.
I will, my Maya, thank you.
Wow. Yeah, I can't imagine anybody being nervous or scared out there running around trying to protect property against these people. I'm going to have some idiot in the comments. Man, you just show... I had a couple other comments. These idiots come here. Man, you're just showing the bad stuff that black people do. You're not showing any of the good stuff. Shut up, freaking idiot.
Oh, shit.
Go back 10 seconds, please. Go ahead.
Isn't it amazing? As soon as the gunshot happened, all the people destroying shit and tearing up property somehow decided to leave. Isn't that amazing how that happened? I wonder what the DA would make up about that.
Oh, shit. They shooting.
Whose voice is that?
That's my stepdaughter's.
Did you hear those gunshots?
Yes.
Could you describe them for the jury, please?
I heard multiple gunshots.
Okay. Was there a first gunshot and then a series of gunshots? How did you...
Yeah, I heard one and then bang, bang, bang.
Okay. And after...
This guy don't give a shit. He's probably pissed off to be here. But you know what? He's a good witness. You know what? Raise your hand if you think the big tough DAs are going to treat him like they treated the last guy. Well, if you got your hand up, you're a big dummy.
The shots, did the people then start to move?
Yeah, they started running.
Okay. Before the shots, nothing was disturbing them. They were just bashing in cars.
Yes.
Now, you or your stepdaughter turned over this tape to Detective Howard, correct?
I did, yes.
Okay. And you told him what you observed?
Yes, I did.
And that was back in October 28th of 2020?
Section leading.
Rephrase your question.
Do you remember the date you met exactly with the officers?
Not exactly. I mean, it seemed like about a year ago they told me that I might be called to be a witness within a year, but they never called me.
Okay. Would looking at your statement that you signed tell you the date that you met with the detectives?
Well, if it has a date on it, yeah.
Mr. Zanine, showing you a 2-page document that is not stapled together. Do you recognize this?
Yeah.
What is this?
It's my signature, 28th of October.
Okay. And there's a date on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
October 28, 2020.
Is that your handwriting?
It certainly is.
Oh, look, they're smiling. They're all buddy. It's all fun. Kid's life's about to be over. We're just having a good old time.
Why are you up here from Texas?
Actually, I'm a licensed real estate agent in Texas, and I'm a licensed real estate agent in Wisconsin. I was born and raised in Wisconsin. I had moved to Texas to work in the oil fields for a time. My mother passed away, and I came back up here. So my plan has been to sell real estate in Wisconsin in the summer and flip houses, and then to go to Texas in the winter and sell real estate and flip houses in Texas.
I only asked because at the time you gave it, of your statement, you gave a Texas address.
Yes, so I mean, the goal is to be like a lot of Wisconsin people, snowbird.
Snowbird. So on August 25th, were you
I was
living
here.
in Kenosha? Or?
Yeah, my fiance is here in Kenosha.
Notice he interrupted him, and he's not jumping in his ass. Notice that? How he was treating that other kid because he could, and he's not doing it to this guy?
Were you concerned that these individuals would break your car if you're parked right across the street?
It wasn't, well, because there was dozens of people in the parking lot, and then there was, I'd say, at least 100 or more behind us. So I was frightened. I'm a lifelong, I was born and raised in Kenosha, and I love my town, and I watched every single night of the riots. And the night before...
I'm going to have to stop.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question, okay? So,
Let him finish.
well, the question is, were you concerned about people behind you? And I thought you satisfied the narrative.
Fair enough, you're correct.
So, what brought you up past curfew that night?
I wanted to, first of all, these were historical events that were happening in my hometown, first of all. Second of all, the night before, rioters had burned dozens of buildings, small businesses. Me being a real estate agent, you know, I have empathy for small business owners. I was very upset that these rioters were destroying my town, burning my town. So I was hoping if I could see that the night that Kyle was chased and attacked, if I could see somebody set a fire, I could take a video and they could be prosecuted by the prosecutors and the police.
Now, you mentioned somebody called Kyle. Did you know Mr. Rittenhouse before that evening?
Not at all.
Did you know him at all since then, except
Not at
through
all.
media? Sir, she's got to pick on what we say, so it's got to be one at a time. Okay, I know it's not how people usually speak, but we just got to be kind of.
See how much nicer he was? Wow. Let me finish my question. Don't interrupt. She has to type it down. Let me finish my question. Wow. So he can be nice when he's not picking on a little kid. Freaking punk.
Careful about that. So,
No, I've never met Kyle. I don't know Kyle Rittenhouse.
And you didn't see Kyle Rittenhouse before the shooting, surveying the area or looking at the people breaking windows or anything like that?
So you have to understand my. Okay. No, I did not.
All right, thank you.
The cars.
See, he doesn't want to talk to him because he's not answering his questions, so he's going to stop. See what happens when they don't get their way? They're done. Because this guy wasn't following his narrative, and he couldn't push and make words and intimidate and change his story and do all that shit. So they're like, we're done with you. We can't abuse you, so we're going to let you go.
And the rioters destroying the cars stopped you from seeing Mr. Rittenhouse. Is that a fair statement?
I could not see Mr. Rittenhouse.
Okay. If Mr. Rittenhouse was in the far corner of the car source lot, was there things blocking your view?
All I can say is I did not see the shooting. I just heard it.
Okay. And you never saw Mr. Rittenhouse?
After the shooting, people scattered, and I could see his face.
Okay. And you've never spoke to him before or after this event?
No.
Nothing further.
Any question? No.
Thank you. You may step down, sir.
Finally, end of the thing. All right, we'll end that there. Wow, this is a long day of testimony. All right, we'll see y'all tomorrow.